They left too soon. I repeat, they left too soon. These are the words of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar when a journalist, I think it was the BBC journalist, who asked him for his opinion on the Indian independence. Now, it is a great surprising thing to know that Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, in a way, wished for the continuation of the British rule in India. Why so? If we believe what we are taught in the schools that Indian civilization was one of the greatest in the world and that India was a forerunner in many of the inventions and philosophies and thought and schools of thoughts, then it baffles us to try to understand why did Ambedkar and many people like Ambedkar wished that the British should continue ruling in India. Now, when we try to understand or when we try to answer this question, one of the things that we come to know is the fact that there is a big difference between what we are taught in the schools and the actual life of people before independence. Now, why do we say so? Say, for example, all that India has become today, be it in the field of education, in the field of health or science and technology, all these are actually the contributions by the British. Why do I say so? I know that when I praise the British, a lot of the underbugs are going to come for my blood. They would try to say that I'm an anti-national, I'm less patriotic, I'm a Deshdrogi, I should be sent to Pakistan, I am in the payroll of the jihadists. All these names and accusations are going to be put on me. But then my advice, my suggestion to my friends on the other side is that instead of abusing me, you should try to answer the questions that I raise here. Now let us try to understand some of the contributions or some of the reasons why we say that the British was actually beneficial for the well-being and welfare of the people of India and India as a nation. Now let us say, for example, take the example of education. Now just analyze for yourself your school days, your college days. Now tell me, was there anything Indian in the schools that you went, in the colleges that you enrolled? Take for example, the syllabus. Is it an Indian thing? The uniform, is it an Indian thing? The teachers being recruited and paid on a monthly basis, was it a custom in India? The textbooks, teaching of science, technology, literature, English, are they the origins of, did they come from Indian culture? The answer I think is no. Now, some of us believe that India had a great educational system. So we talk about the Gurukula system of education. For the sake of an argument, I agree with the fact that we had a Gurukula system of education. Now tell me, what percent of Indians went to the Gurukulas? Did the Dalit of this country go to the Gurukulas? Did the Adivasis of this country go to the Gurukulas? Did the poor people of this country go to the Gurukulas? The answer is an emphatic, a strict no, they did not go. Only 1% of the population that was Brahmins went to the Gurukulas. And suppose, let us accept that at least 1% of the Brahmins went to the Gurukulas. Now, did they study science there? Did they study technology there? Did they study medicine in the Gurukulas? No, they did not study any of these things. There was no science and technology, there was no language, there was no literature. They simply learned by heart some Sanskrit slokas from some epics like Mahabharata or Bhagavad Gita or things like that, or from the Vedas. So it was all about learning some slogas by heart. That was the whole thing called education in India. And the Britishers came here. They introduced to us, not only the British, starting from Portuguese to French to the British, they introduced here a system of education that was being followed in Europe. Now, to these schools, all people, irrespective of their caste, irrespective of the religion, were welcome. You could go to a school started by the British, whether you are from a lower caste or a rich or a poor, whoever you are, if you had any interest in learning, then you could go to these schools, these centers of education. Now, some of my friends on the other side will talk about Takshashila and Nalanda being one of the greatest universities of the world. I accept they were the greatest universities of the world. But mind you, they had nothing to do with the Indian culture that we talk about today, because they were purely Buddhist universities. And to those universities, you could enroll yourself irrespective of your caste. There was no caste base to get an admission there. There was an entrance examination. If you qualify in the entrance examination, you were admitted to those universities. So Takshashila and Nalanda in a way had nothing to do with the culture, the Indian cultural thing. So that is about education. Now if today you are able to listen to me, if today you are able to understand me, if today I am able to speak, if today we have a lot of dignitaries working all over the world, like the CEO of companies, heads of companies, in the political arena of different countries, that is all because of education. When people got educated, when the British, when the French, when the Portuguese opened the schools here, colleges here, they were educated, they were exposed to the systems of education that were in the world. That is how we progress. That's about education. Now let us come to the health sector. Was there a hospital in this country before the foreigners came? Was there a hospital? I think there was no hospital. And some people say that the British destroyed our schools and hospitals. Is there a record to show that they destroyed the schools and hospitals? How many schools did we have? How many colleges did we have before the Britishers came? How many hospitals did we have before the Britishers came? Of course, obviously, we have to agree with the fact that we had local practitioners of medicine. Now, were all the people able to access those medical facilities? Absolutely no. What was the reason? Because of caste system. So most of these Vaidyans or the local doctors hailed from high castes. Therefore, the lower caste people were denied an opportunity to go to those people to avail their health facilities. So it is when the Britishers came that they opened the schools, English medicines, and it was hospitals, and it was given to all. It was accessible for all people. Now, just take an example for why do you call the nurses in India sisters? We call them sister and sisters, the nurses. Why do you call so? Because the first nurses who came to India were Christian nuns, Christian sisters. So from that time onward, we have a tendency of calling these nurses nuns. The first hospital, the first nursing college in Kerala was opened by sisters from Italy. The building is still there. The history is there. Now, this is the reason why we say that in the field of education and in the field of health, it was the British who helped us. Now, there are a whole lot of things. For example, we can talk about democracy. Today, we say that India is one of the biggest democracies, largest democracies in the world. Now, before taking pride in the fact that we are the largest democracy in the world, we should spend some time thanking the British for introducing to us the system of democracy in this country. In this country, because of the caste system, not all people could be part of the democratic process. It was restricted to some sections of society. For example, the local self-government system introduced here by the British. For example, we have a prime minister today, we have a president today, we have governors, we have CMs, we have states. All of them are given to us by the British. For example, the Indian Act of 1935 was a cornerstone on which our constitution later on was written and India progresses today. And for example, railways. Who brought the railways here? The British. Now, as I conclude, now we have tried to understand why did Ambedkar support the British? Or did Ambedkar support the British? Was Ambedkar a Deshdrohi? Was Ambedkar an anti-national? Now the answer is no. Why? Why did then Ambedkar support the British? Ambedkar did not actually support the British, but Ambedkar was supporting the rights and dignity of the Dalits of this country. You get my point clearly? The rights and dignity of the Dalits of this country, of the downtrodden, of the poor, of the forsaken. That was a concern of Ambedkar. And Ambedkar thought that among the existing systems that were in India, the British was well suited to cater to the needs and development and welfare of the Dalits of this nation. That is the reason why Ambedkar said that the Britishers should have continued here. That is the reason why Ambedkar said that they left so soon. For example, there were people in Trivandrum, in Kerala, who wrote to the King of Trivandrum saying that they are happier under the British Queen than under the King of Trivandrum. Elsewhere in India also, people were happy that the British had conquered us. Why were they happy? Not because not because of the fact that the British came here, it is simply because of the fact that it is when the Britishers came here that they were treated with a dignity, that they could go to schools, that they could practice their religion, their customs. Therefore, as we celebrate Independence Day, I would urge you to have that intellectual strength, that intellectual curiosity, that intellectual honesty to delve for truth and accept truth, however hard and hurting it may be. I'm in no way saying that India should have been conquered by the Britishers or any foreign powers. Or the only thing that I'm saying is that the Britishers have contributed to making what India is today. For example, before the Britishers came, there was not even an idea of India. India was a group of 545 princely states. The small state of today's Kerala was actually divided into 3 princely states. So therefore we can say, when the Britishers came, we came together as a nation, we fought against them, but in the fight against the British and in their attempt to resist this fight, a lot of good things happened. You may call me anti-national, you may call me Deshdrohi, you may say that I must be sent to Pakistan, you may say that I am in the payroll of the jihadists, I don't care. Before calling me names, you should try to answer my questions and try to address the concerns that I raised. Now, I have told you a lot of things about education, health, railways, and IAS, IPS systems, all these things. I have not given you the specifics. The specifics of my talk should be found out by those who want to criticize me. When I said that the health system, the education system, the railways, the IAS system or IAS, all these were the gifts of the British, you should go try to find out whether there is truth in what I said. And once you try to understand the truth, you will be surprised. So I wish that this Independence Day may be a surprise of truth, a celebration of knowledge, and an acceptance of what we are and how we became today. Thank you.